He had 6 months to live, bought a lottery ticket, and got a death sentence instead. So he begged to live, and woke up as a bald skeleton, then a demon king. Then got tricked by the gods, and somehow ended up reborn again, this time as a holy child. The problem? He still has all his demonic power. Now he's surrounded by priests, blessings, and divine contracts, while secretly absorbing corruption, growing stronger, and hiding the fact that the being they worship is the one planning to destroy their entire system. Our main character, Kim Isak, really wants to live, really badly, but he was diagnosed with an unknown disease, and so his name will become the name of this disease. The doctor offered him his condolences. He has 6 months left at most. Devastated by this news, MC left the hospital. He didn't pay any attention to the people around him and thought only about his life. This can't be. He worked diligently like a worker ant and was finally able to settle down. And now he's going to die? He was completely absorbed in his thoughts. The traffic light had long since turned red and the cars had already started moving. Then some caring person pushed him onto the sidewalk and he fell. He dropped the lottery ticket from his hands and thought it was a death sentence. But it was so unfair, especially on the day he won the best lotto. He wants to live so much, he doesn't want to die. He grabbed this lottery ticket and shed a tear, thinking that he would be happy in any case, only if he lived. Then he looked up to the heavens and asked their inhabitants not to let him die. However, he didn't ask to stay alive in this state. Fate played a joke on him. He simply had to reincarnate as a skeleton. He can't even go to the toilet in this body. Now, in this body, he fights monsters. One of the creatures pounced on him from behind. He quickly turned around and swung his heavy sword, killing them, and there was only one enemy left. A huge monster pounced on him. He wanted to slap it, but he managed to jump in time. He prepared himself and thought that finally it would all be over. He pounced on his enemy, rushed forward, and dealt him a crushing blow, thinking it was the last one. When the monster's head flew off, he rejoiced, because the enslavement of the rebels was complete. After reincarnation, he became a demon of the lowest rank, a skeleton. As he advanced in his ranks, he evolved into a demon king, a lich. He revived the criminal demons that were almost destroyed, and they recognized him as their ruler. He may be bald, but he was the demon king now, and he was very happy about it. The monsters began chanting his name and praising the king, whose name comes from his bad temper and cunning. They shouted Isaac's name several times, and he exclaimed in irritation that his name was actually Yisak. How many times did he have to tell them? He thought they were idiots who couldn't even pronounce his name correctly, but let them take care of themselves. He walked on, and one of his subjects asked where he was going, to which he replied that he would now receive his payment. He just wanted to eat food and go to the toilet. He wanted to become human again. With this thought, he went to the divine realm and showed the terrified gods the head of his enemy. All 5 sat on thrones before him, and he told them that he had gotten rid of everyone who was against them. Is the agreement still valid? According to the contract, they have to make him human. They were surprised that he defeated them all. They thought it would take 500 years. One of the servants ran up to the god, and they started whispering. She said that she heard that all the high-ranking nobles united to work with him until they dropped, without any pay. MC said that he heard them. Why are they talking so much? After all, they themselves said that they would make him human if he dealt with everyone. The god smiled slyly and asked if he could do one more thing for them. He clenched his teeth nervously and thought that even if he was a skeleton, they should know when to stop. Even if they were gods, they were finished. He cursed loudly and asked why the hell they were trying to make him their slave. He released his murderous aura and asked, displeasedly, did they force him to work even though they didn't know how to turn him into a human? One of the goddesses whispered to the other that it seemed like he noticed. He asked, didn't he tell him no from the beginning? Why did they even make a contract with such a barbarian? Yisak became angry and exclaimed, is that all they can tell him? Besides the forbidden summoning techniques, they can neither create nor destroy. He is not alive, he is undead. If they cannot turn him, who is capable of endangering the divine realm, into a human? Then, they understood what he meant and became agitated, asking him to give them more time. If he fulfills a few more of their requests, they will do it. But MC didn't believe them anymore. He said that as payment for them failing to keep their promise, he will kill them all. He threw up his hands, gathering more energy, and exclaimed that they will all remain skeletons. His magic flared. He laughed, watching the swaying flames, and then suddenly everything disappeared, and he realized that he could not move. One of the gods said with a smirk that his attempts were useless. The one whose name he was writing here couldn't move. He showed him a beetle with his name written on its shell, but here's the catch. It was spelled incorrectly. Isaac instead of Yisak. He said it was destruction, eradication. In the past, this high-class divine technique was used to seal away disasters like him. The god asked, how dare a mere demon do such a thing? He should be grateful to them for making him an extension of their arms and legs. Let him live as a beetle now. MC wondered why a beetle and not a furry caterpillar, and the god asked, was he still obsessed with hair? Suddenly, the beetle glowed brightly, causing them to become confused, and Yisak laughed, calling them idiots. If they were going to do this in the first place, there was no need to wait so long, because he would rather kill himself than turn into a beetle. His entire body began to glow from within. The gods rushed excitedly to him, asking him to wait, and he, after uttering a few last insults, exploded, shaking the entire divine realm. Dust rose in the palace. The gods coughed and called him a crazy idiot. Seeing a beetle on the floor, one of them excitedly exclaimed that the ritual had been activated correctly. The god lay down to examine the beetle and said that since the ritual had been performed correctly, the Demon King's soul should be sealed. Everyone breathed a sigh of relief and began to discuss the situation. Since the Demon King was no longer there, they should have their powers back. Every time demons disappear, they gain this. But it was too early to relax. They didn't know when the next catastrophe would happen. They would create the perfect vessel of a saint in the human world and kill all the demons. One of the gods asked his friend if he was okay. He definitely used a lot of power. He told him not to worry. Let him choose a soul to place it into the saint's body. After that, he picked up the beetle and said with a smirk that the insolent Demon King would be locked inside the beetle for eternity. He would make him come to his senses. Meanwhile, MC took a deep breath and told himself to pull himself together. Just think, he was deceived by the gods. Did he become stupid because skeletons have no brains? He opened his eyes and thought that it was so bright in here, but he was just a beetle who had no hands to close his eyes. He instinctively stretched his hands forward, blocking the light, and saw that he had them, and thought, what was this soft skin and warmth? Where did he get his hands? Did he really become human? But why did those who hate him the most in the world do this? Did something go wrong during the sealing? One of the servants called him a saint and told the others that he finally woke up. He slept so well. What woke him up? Her partner said it would be great if he slept longer. Isaac was confused. He didn't understand who these people were. Are they nannies? Has he really become human? Those two smiled strangely and said that now they are upset, but they have to do their job. Let him forgive them, but he needs to fall asleep again forever. Seeing a bottle with some strange green liquid in his hands, MC got nervous and thought that he had just died. Do they want to kill him again? He started waving his hands in every possible way, not letting them get close to him, and when the nipple almost touched his lips, he sharply turned his head to the side. Then this servant brought the bottle to him again, but each time he refused. Because of this, he became very nervous and exclaimed, "Why isn't he eating?" Isaac turned away from them and thought, are they kidding me? He had just become a human, and there was no way he would have eaten something so suspicious. But how did he even do that? One of the servants called him Sir Isaac and told him to just act like a child and close his mouth so they could help him sleep. He immediately turned to him in surprise and wondered what he had just called him. Isaac. That's an alternate pronunciation of his real name, Yisak. And when that god sealed him, he used the mistaken name, Isaac? Now he understood why he hadn't been sealed. He had even reincarnated into a body with the same name, and now he was Isaac. Those idiots acted so confident, but they were careless and didn't seal him. He laughed, and then the servants immediately shoved a bottle into his mouth, but he started to resist, and the guy exclaimed, "Why is this child so strong?" MC felt like it was vegetable juice, but the taste was simply disgusting. Are they trying to kill him with this nasty stuff? He only just became human. His eyes slowly began to close. He saw grins on their faces and realized that something sinister was entering his body. Now they were in the Central Eastern Temple of the Holy Empire of Helon. Bishop Martha Barrett headed to Isaac's chambers, and judging by his grin, his intentions were ill-intentioned. He wanted to end this child, but a man appeared on his way and said that he seemed to be in a good mood today. It was the Emperor of Helon, Alexander Heathcliff Hela. The bishop, along with his priests, immediately bowed, greeting the son of the empire, and he inquired what business the bishop might have here. He replied that the Yeshua family had arrived to convey greetings to the candidate for sainthood. The Holy See cannot fail to care for a saint. Alexander grinned and said that since it concerned a saint, he must take personal involvement. If another accident happened after the child was handed over to the Holy See, it would be very unfortunate. Martha became nervous, pretending that he had nothing to do with it, and at that moment, a loud cry of a child was heard. The bishop grinned faintly, thinking that his plan had worked, and Alexander immediately ran towards the sound. He burst into the room and worriedly asked what they were doing with the young master. One of the maids turned to him with an agitated look and exclaimed that the young master was so cute. Just look at that plump belly. He eats so well. He really is an angel. He ate 15 bottles of that disgusting vegetable juice. The bishop, dumbfounded, approached the baby's crib and looking at the pile of bottles on the floor thought that it was impossible. He was still alive, having drunk so much, but this wasn't just juice. A few minutes earlier, when Isaac began to feel something entering his body, he realized what it was and was very surprised. It was a holy curse, a deadly poison that destroyed a cleric's holy power. It didn't work instantly, but since it was poison, drinking enough of it could kill one. But he would convert that poison into demon mana, which was a blessing for a former undead lord like him. He couldn't believe they'd handed him, a demon, something he could turn into mana. This was simply amazing. He was going to gorge himself on this magical baby brew. Just after finishing the juice, he threw the bottle on the floor in a rage and screamed, and the maid asked if he was asking for more. It was as if she'd learned to understand him. Her partner gave the child another bottle and said they'd be happy if he drank more. Apparently, vegetable juice didn't work right away. MC happily reached for the bottle and, starting to drink it again, gave it a thumbs up and thought that now he needed to exit the world of consciousness and enter the world of the subconscious. Go to the deepest point, the world of origin, where the mana core is created. He would be safe here. Now he needed to concentrate. He would gather the mana he had absorbed into the mana core. The core was needed to use magic, and if he wanted to cast spells in the future, this was absolutely necessary. As soon as he gathered the clot of mana, it glowed brightly, and he was already scared, thinking it was a magical explosion. But something else happened. Usually the mana core is three-colored, but now it was white. He realized that the problem wasn't the color. He hadn't even properly gathered his mana in this small core. What kind of energy was this? He grinned and thought that this exceeded all his expectations. He walked toward the core, overcoming the powerful energy currents that hindered his steps, and wondered how many blessings had fit into this young body. If he worked on it, he could become a much greater monster than he could ever imagine. He reached out to the core with a smile, his new name appeared, and he pressed the survive button. This was his most desperate wish, carved deep into his soul. He wanted to survive so much that he was going crazy. This was the beginning of his rise as a demon king, thanks to which he was able to create his own special buffs and abilities. But most importantly, he managed to inherit these spells in this body. While he was subconscious, he didn't move at all, and the servants thought he had already died. But he suddenly raised his hand sharply, and a servant exclaimed in fear that he was still alive. Isaac made some kind of sound, then squealed with a smile, asking them to give him another bottle. At the moment, Alexander breathed a sigh of relief, saying that it was good that nothing happened. MC told him in his mind that they had actually tried to kill him, but indeed, nothing special had happened. He saw the old man's shocked look and thought, what was wrong with him? Why was he staring at him like that? Maybe he had eaten too much? He couldn't afford to do anything that would arouse suspicion. He'd better play dumb. He smiled at the old man, but his frown only deepened. Right now, the bishop was thinking that the dose should have been enough to make him die choking on blood, and instead, he was laughing at him. A few days ago at the headquarters of the Holy See, Harry Barrett said that the one who became a saint rules the Holy Empire. But that's absurd. It all ended with everyone declaring that their child was a saint, even the lower houses. The bishop nervously told him not to worry. He would take care of all the other candidates. The man smirked and said that of course he would take care of them. But he had heard unpleasant rumors that there was a candidate for sainthood from Eshua, House of Eshua, the emperor's right hand. Martha became nervous, saying that they could do nothing with them, and then the man in a rage threw a goblet of wine at him and said that he should be dead by the time he arrived. It would only be necessary to confirm the presence of a body. He had already decided everything. The saint would be a child from the house of Berit. Now looking at this child, the bishop became very nervous and thought that he had said that the saint would die. But why was he still alive? It was simply impossible. Alexander extended his hand to the child and said that this was quite interesting. He had shining curls, the hair color of the founder of the Holy Empire. He turned to the bishop and asked, "He's right, right?" He became flustered, asking how he could say such things. Isaac looked at him in surprise and thought, "This man is an emperor?" Alexander said with a smile that he felt closer to God than the current pope. As expected from the latest candidate for sainthood, MC was very surprised by this news. He kept wondering why they all kept talking about some saint. Realizing that the emperor was starting to favor him, Martha decided to stop it and awkwardly asked him for permission to examine the child. He asked why he needed this, and he answered that something was wrong. It was incomprehensible that a newborn drank all that juice. The emperor asked what could be wrong with the food of a candidate for sainthood. They continued to discuss this, and Isaac rolled over onto his back and thought that he, the demon lord, had become a candidate for sainthood. And how could this even happen? He accidentally released undigested dark mana from his mouth and realized what a mistake he had made. He immediately turned his gaze to the bishop and thought, did he notice this? Yes, he noticed it. He smiled ominously and told the emperor that he just sensed dark mana from this child, and this is very suspicious. MC became very nervous and thought, did this idiot really see it? Martha said that the child could be a false candidate carrying mana, so he should immediately consult with the Inquisitor. He became very nervous, and the emperor exclaimed in displeasure, how could he say such a thing to this precious candidate for sainthood? The bishop told him not to worry. The pope already had his eye on the candidate for sainthood from the house of Berit. Alexander looked at him with displeasure and thought, how can he not be ashamed to offer a child from his own house as a saint? And MC understood why he was trying to get rid of him. After that, the bishop picked him up and asked to bring the Inquisitor, but the emperor told them to wait. The house of Eshua is a close ally of the royal court. As emperor, he strongly recommends that this child's candidacy be considered. Martha said he understood, but he also said that the crown prince's blessing would be given after a decision was made on the saint. Alexander became nervous. He understood that if he didn't support the child he chose, he would refuse to bless the crown prince. He asked, "So this is the will of the Holy See?" Isaac thought irritably that they were all corrupt idiots here, and it would be bad if they found out who he was. The bishop said that otherwise they could test it right now with his power of exorcism. MC took the bottle of juice, mentally telling him that this would not happen, and the bishop said with a smile that if he was human, nothing would happen to him. But if he was a demon, they would know immediately. MC didn't let him finish, hitting him in the face with the bottle with all his might, even knocking out his teeth. To avoid suspicion, he began to act like a cute baby and make different sounds, and Martha, shocked, thought that the bottle hit him too hard. Seeing a divine glow during the impact, the knights were only convinced that the child was definitely a saint, and Isaac thought that he felt divinity within himself. After that, he swung and hit him in the face again, laughing joyfully, and did this several more times. The bishop thought it was definitely dark mana, and the emperor and his servants were very happy, since they saw divine light. MC thought that he would simply cast strengthening magic to make the bottle harder and continue to pretend to be an innocent baby. He hit the bishop again, causing him to fall to his knees, and one of the servants exclaimed that it seemed he too was struck by his divinity. Isaac looked at the bottle and wondered what it was. The mana is weak, but every time he uses dark mana, a little divine mana comes out with it. They are two opposites, so they can't be used together. It probably has something to do with that white mana core. Suddenly, the bishop snatched the bottle from his hands, then threw it on the floor, and swore on everything he had that this child was a heretic. They should perform an exorcism right now. MC mentally called him a stubborn idiot, then with a sly smile reached under his clothes and thought that he didn't want to do this, but he also had something interesting. He pulled out a hand from under his clothes, engulfed in demonic energy and tied with a cross. The bishop immediately became nervous, because this totem is the remains of a high-ranking demon. It is an item that uses a demon's ability to absorb the power of its kin, which he kept with him in case demons were chasing him. And now the old man was in shock, because the baby wasn't supposed to know about this. After that, Isaac threw the item behind him and mentally told him to watch carefully. He continued to attack him, so in return he would show him something. As soon as the item fell to the floor and the bandage was damaged, demonic energy came out, and as soon as MC snapped his fingers, a demon appeared. Everyone was shocked by the appearance of a shadow lich in the holy temple, and the emperor called out to the bishop, asking what all this meant. Martha nervously asked, "Didn't he see? The child just pulled out this totem." He didn't let him speak and said that the totem is an item that binds dead demons, so how could he revive it? He waved his hand and ordered the holy knights to protect the child from the evil demon and the bishop. They immediately took Isaac from his hands, and he smirked, thinking that it served him right. He decided to see how strong this bishop was, and when the holy knights surrounded the demon from all sides, he suddenly became furious and exclaimed that he would kill the saint. MC didn't understand what was going on. The demon rushed towards him and the knights lined up to protect him. Isaac thought, what's wrong with him? He knows that he revived him, but why did he attack him? Even though he has holy knights on his side, will they definitely protect him? But one of them was immediately hit and fell, and he thought, are they really holy knights? The demon waved his claws in rage, shouting that he would kill the saint and save the imprisoned king, and another holy knight was defeated. MC sighed heavily and thought that he should stop him first. No one would notice his mana in this chaos. The lich pounced on him, and he thought, why are so many in this life trying to kill him? He managed to save him, but he is still trying to finish him off. As soon as the lich approached him, his eyes widened, and he released his king's aura, calling this lesser demon stupid. Seeing his master, he stood there in confusion, and Isaac's body released divine light, illuminating the entire room, and the demon screamed, unable to resist it. He fled in fear, and the knights exclaimed in surprise. This was holy power, wasn't it? Young Master Isaac defeated the greater demon. This is so amazing, he is still so young. MC at this time looked at his hands in surprise and thought, is this really holy power? The divine light slowly faded, and he thought that this couldn't be. This body really converted his mana into holy power? But how then is he supposed to gather dark mana now? The Holy Empire is already lacking it. Meanwhile, the knights had taken the bishop into custody, and he angrily ordered them to release him. They were all fools if they couldn't see that this child was a heretic, using the power of demons. A demon dared to set foot in the Holy Empire? He turned to the emperor and said that he would show him everything, that he would reveal his true face. Alexander said that was enough, accusing an innocent candidate for sainthood of heresy, and a greater demon at that, in the presence of the royal holy knights. Even if he was a person from the Holy See, this would not end well for him. Martha nervously clenched his teeth and thought that the seeds of doubt had already been sown in his mind. He would soon learn of the spy, and if that happened, it could negatively affect the Holy See. And even if it cost him his life, he must save the people of his family. He drew a magic circle with his finger, summoning a wolf, and thought that he should at least kill the candidate for sainthood. The divine wolf ran straight toward Isaac. He sighed heavily, thinking that the stubborn old man had finally shown his true colors. Did he really think he could kill him with such a weak attack? He wanted to respond, but realized he had run out of mana, which made him extremely nervous. The enormous wolf's mouth was already in front of his face, But suddenly, someone struck the beast down, and that person asked who dared lay hands on the child of Eshua. It was the order of the pious Azure, the Knights of Eshua. Relai Eshua, the seventh son, had come to personally visit the candidate for sainthood. He ordered his knights to immediately arrest the bishop, while MC paused, thinking, as he had heard that name somewhere before. Relai then ordered his knights to pay their respects, and they knelt before Isaac and greeted him. The knight holding him looked awkward, and Relai apologized to Isaac for arriving so late. He smiled and thought he was so dressed up, better than the imperial knights. Relai pointed to one of his subordinates and said with a smile that he couldn't say this would atone for their past mistakes, but they brought him a small gift. He saw the guy take something out of his inside pocket. He was already starting to anticipate gold or other valuables, but it turned out to be just a figurine of a skeleton king whose head had been cut off. MC felt uneasy. It was him. The knights started shoving other figurines in his face, ones where the demon king is burned alive and where he is split into pieces. His face turned pale. He began to cry and wondered how he would survive in this madhouse. They mistook his tears for tears of joy and began to say that it was so sweet, and he remembered where he had heard that name before. This was the saint who tried to defeat him, from Eshua. There were many of them. He remembers the 45th saint, the 61st, and some other one coming to him. He grabbed his head and thought that he knew it. They were all part of the family. He was not only a candidate for sainthood, but now he was born into a family of saints. What crime did he commit in his past life to deserve all of this? Suddenly, the bishop began to curse Eshua. He shouted that he knew they were all heretics. Where did they get this devilish creature? He will reveal their true nature. How could they bring this monster with them? He will definitely destroy their family. Relai did not tolerate the insult and swung his sword, cutting his neck, after which he told him to be grateful that, by the grace of Eshua, they did not cut off his head. Isaac thought he could be useful, since he didn't mind attacking the bishop for speaking ill of his family. Perhaps he would agree to go against the Holy See under certain conditions? The knights surrounded him from all sides and began to calm him down, saying there was no point in listening to this. In his mind, he called everyone idiots. He remembered those Eshua. They were powerful opponents. He was sure his former subordinates would shudder at the mere thought of them. Two knights showed him a demon king toy and demonstrated how its head could be removed, and he mentally asked them to stop. There was nothing sacred about them. Alexander turned to Rilai and said that he owed them a favor. Since they were already talking about it, would he share the news that the imperial family was interested in raising the young master? He turned to him and, with a note of displeasure, said that he must be joking. MC was delighted that the imperial family had shown interest in him, and Alexander explained that both internal and external forces of the Holy Empire would target the young master. He is sure that he understands this himself. The pious Azure was powerful, but would they be able to protect the child? Relai remained silent, and Isaac wondered what they were even talking about. Alexander added that he found the situation quite unfortunate. The child had the same hair color as the founder of the Holy Empire. Besides, the Demon King might be hunting him. He mentally exclaimed that this was all slander. He was the Demon King. Why would he persecute himself? Relai took him in his arms and asked the emperor for forgiveness. Since this child belongs to the Eshua lineage, they will raise him as one of them. Be it the Pope or the Demon King, the Eshua are more than capable of handling them. Moreover, he thinks the previous Saint Melissa would be happy to meet the Skeleton King again. Alexander smiled and said that he was sure so, and Rilai asked how they could allow a direct descendant of Saint Melissa to be given to the imperial family. MC remembered that name. After all, this was his last opponent before the attack on the divine realm. She is the most difficult and insane saint he has faced. Not only was he born a saint candidate into a family of saints, but he is also a direct descendant of Melissa. What is wrong with his life? So who are the saints? After the Demon King defeated him countless times, they decided to create the saints, the ultimate weapon, the mace of God meant to punish evil. Saints use attacks imbued with divine light. The light of the Holy Empire is the highest rank for the Knights of Light. Stunned by the fighting prowess of the Saint Sisters, people thought the Demon King would soon be defeated, as they possess great strength and defense rivaling that of a god, and a survival instinct similar to that of a cockroach. They have selfless attacks, become stronger over time, and have a long lifespan, and are generally wonderful individuals. However, the Skeleton King was cruel. He defeated them but did not kill them. Killing them would only hurt him. When saints die, all their energy returns to the gods, allowing them to use it to create new, improved saints. However, the last Saint Melissa was so powerful that he almost died because of her. And now she's his kin. Relai smiled and said that a saint is a person who desires nothing more than to destroy the Demon King. Eshua are the only ones who give birth to such people. Their main mission is to defeat everything that opposes God, and he is confident that they are more than capable of protecting this child. Alexander remained silent, and one of the knights asked if he knew how many saints have fallen at the hands of the Skeleton King. Isaac gritted his teeth nervously. They didn't die at the end of the battle, after all. The knight explained that the Demon King once locked a saint in a labyrinth, deeming her unworthy of his presence, and MC thought that he actually let her go. How was he supposed to know that she was bad at navigating it? The knight exclaimed that 5 saints had died of despair, and he cursed silently. They just needed to go to the hospital. Rilai told the child not to worry. Even if he was cursed, they would do everything to protect him. He waved his fist in rage and thought that it was just the opposite. Rilai lifted him above himself and said with a smile that they were happy that he was born. His parents only wanted one thing for him, that he wouldn't grow up like that evil demon king. But it wasn't meant to be. Isaac closed his eyes and apologized to his unknown parents for ruining their hopes and dreams. The emperor asked him not to jump to conclusions. The skeleton king had been sealed 150 years ago. MC thought, so much time has passed. Doesn't that mean Melissa should already be dead? She was 50 when they fought for the last time. Alexander said that over the years the demons had been growing stronger. He would be the perfect chance to strengthen the influence of the Holy Empire. The young master is very important to the imperial family, but Saint Ashua currently doesn't exist. More than a year has passed since the saint gave birth to this child and disappeared along with her husband. Isaac was shocked that his mother was a saint, and Rilai told the emperor that even so, the matriarch was still strong. Ashua was more than capable of protecting this child. MC's face turned pale, and he thought that nothing would surprise him anymore. His mother was a saint. This was the end. The emperor asked, didn't they say that Lady Melissa went to confront the Demon King's subjects? Rilai told him that she would return soon. The matriarch would surely be happy to see her grandson. Hearing this, Isaac was very surprised and thought, she lived for more than 200 years? How is she still alive? He grabbed his head, and Alexander noticed that the child seemed upset. Is he okay? Rilai told him that he would get better soon, and MC thought, does he really think so? Will he get better when his sworn enemy is still alive? As soon as Melissa finds out, he will be burned at the stake. He doesn't care about others. She's the last person he wants to encounter. Therefore, to survive, he needs to make this choice. He grabbed the emperor's finger and winked sweetly, as if asking him to take him with him, and he was very happy. He told Rilai to just look at him. He wanted to go with the imperial family. He replied that he was actually just being very friendly, and the emperor, pulling the child towards him, said that their family could do a lot for him. Ashua specializes in accepting the powers of female saints. They don't have much experience raising male saints. Rilai began to pull the child towards himself and said that he was destined to become a demon slayer and exorcist, and Ashua was the best at training them. Besides, this was the first saint in history. Did the imperial family have enough experience raising them? They continued pulling the child, and the knight excitedly asked them to calm down, otherwise they would tear him to pieces. Isaac firmly decided to join the imperial family. He glanced at Alexander and thought that the light indicating life was pouring out of him. This meant he had a better chance of survival if he went with him. This opportunity must not be missed. Alexander said he had made a wise choice. Suddenly, an even stronger light appeared, and he was surprised. Soon, the bishop's punishment took place. He fell to his knees and exclaimed that this was impossible. He was sure that he was using mana. Without a doubt, this was a demon's child. The cardinal said that holy power is given by God. Does he mean that a demon possesses the power of God? His subordinate drew his sword, and Martha, frightened, said that he was sure it was mana. How could he confuse mana and holy power? The cardinal said that the Holy See heard his statement, and before the bishop could object, his subordinate executed him, calling him a blasphemer. One of his subordinates volunteered to organize an attack party, but he said that it was unnecessary. The emperor will take the child with him, and since there will be plenty of chances in the palace, they will decide everything. This time, they will make sure that he dies. But everything turned out differently than they expected. Right now, MC was riding in a carriage to the Eshua estate. How did this happen? A few days ago, he saw a light, so bright that it blinded him, and it came from Rilai. He told the emperor that he agreed. Eshua is not the best place to raise children. He probably considers it a place littered with the remains of demons and manacores, but the most valuable thing in Eshua will be the body of the demon king. The light became even brighter, and Isaac thought in surprise, so they saved his body? You should have told him about this earlier. He immediately switched to his side, took his finger, and gave him a thumbs up with a smile. Rilai was very touched by this, and now he is on his way to Eshua. Even though he was being taken away from the imperial palace to the warriors, if he wanted to regain his body, he had no choice. The body in which he had refined his mana to the level of the gods. If he could regain it, then rank 10 would be nothing. He also saw the light of the will to survive shine so brightly for the first time. This meant that, following Rilai, the next great boon for Eshua would be his survival. The knight captain asked why the Pope's forces were pursuing young Master Isaac. He leaned toward him with interest and silently said that he too wondered about this. Rilai replied that they had received a prophecy which said that a saint would become a child of the gods, and therefore the next pope. That's why Berit was trying so hard to choose his saint. MC was shocked by this development. The Pope is the strongest cleric, capable of using second-tier holy spells. He is unlike all clerics, and is different from the King of Holy Knights. In the Holy Empire, he is the figure whose power is closest to that of the Emperor. For millennia, the Barrett have produced popes. He thinks it's logical that they would go crazy at the prospect of a saint stealing their power. That's why all the other families want to produce a saint. Excited sighs were heard outside the carriage. Rely looked out to check what was going on, and the coachman ran up to him, saying that they had arrived at the duchy, but there was a problem. 3 guards blocked their way, saying that they could not enter, and Rely got out of the carriage and exclaimed indignantly, "What impudence! Don't they recognize the Yeshua coat of arms? Where were they trained?" It turns out they were demons. They showed their true faces, and said that they could not enter, because they had to erase this child who had inherited the blood of a saint. Isaac also looked out of the carriage and wondered what was going on. He's sure he forbade them from attacking human territory. What's the new demon king doing? The demon said with a smile that their venerable king ordered them to kill saints and priests without hesitation, and Isaac thought he knew a new demon king had ascended the throne. But that wasn't true. The demon said that in the name of their great skeleton king, His Majesty Isaac, they would kill the saint, and he screamed, wondering when he told them that. The demon said that if they left the baby, His Majesty the Demon King Isaac might well spare them. Suddenly, lightning struck the demon. His charred body fell, and his comrades backed away in fear, while Riley exclaimed in rage, "How dare he say such words to the exorcist Yeshua? Apparently, they don't want an easy death." He swung his sword and told the demons to listen to him carefully. For the sake of protecting this world, the Yeshua family would destroy all evil. They will pursue them to the very depths of hell to destroy their entire race. He and his knights enveloped their swords in aura. He smirked and told the demon king that he couldn't believe he used his subordinates to take over a body. The demons immediately pounced on him, as he had insulted their king. And while Rely was facing the enemies, his subordinate took Isaac and ran into the forest. MC was completely confused. He didn't understand what was going on here at all. Was someone really impersonating him? Having found a safe place, the knight put him in a bush and asked him to wait for him here. He would return soon. He closed him in a protective barrier and left, and he thought that even a high-ranking demon couldn't penetrate it. The barrier was very strong. Since nothing could penetrate from the outside, it meant that he wouldn't be able to overcome it from the inside either. He closed his eyes and focused on his desire to survive, and released magic. He called for the one who watches, the one made of magic but intelligent. The demonic creature answered his call, Whisper. It immediately appeared before him and joyfully began to greet him. But Isaac covered its mouth and told it was a long time since they had seen each other, but to be quiet, otherwise they would be caught. Whisper said that he thought he would never be able to behold his majestic form again, and Isaac replied that he too thought he was finished. Whisper is a detection spell, but it is also self-aware. He created it because using detection magic and immediately analyzing it was too painful. Gradually, it developed a personality, but it is still quite cute. Whisper congratulated him on successfully capturing the child's body without an ounce of guilt. His Highness's villainy was greater than ever. It began to circle near the barrier and asked how those vile gods dared do this to his master. No matter how vile his master was, he couldn't believe they'd placed him in the body of such a nasty child. He asked him to stop and go look for the enemy. Whisper immediately obeyed and flew away, saying he'd search within 100 meters. There were 88 enemies here, all monsters, but they would never compare to his great master. MC wondered if they were crazy. Were they really going to start a war? It would be unpleasant if the territory's security increased and it became more difficult to summon his subordinates. He had to finish this before the Yeshua family caught him. Even if it took all his accumulated mana, he'd have to do it himself. Suddenly, Whisper noticed something strange. He said there were currently 51 enemies. The number of enemies was rapidly decreasing. Now there were 31. He was surprised, not understanding what was going on. Meanwhile, there were 13 monsters left, and one of the knights informed Riley that something was approaching. He ordered all forces to form a defensive line. Only 4 monsters remained. A shadow thickened above them, and one of the demons looked up, saying that their brother had finally arrived. He offered to join him in killing the saint, but the Shadow Lich, on the contrary, began to kill these monsters, which surprised the knights. Meanwhile, Whisper informed his master that there were no enemies left. The Shadow Lich had arrived. He towered over the knights and said that if they dared touch his king with their filthy hands, they would lose their lives. Isaac, meanwhile, was shocked, wondering what was wrong with him. The Shadow Lich exclaimed, "How dare they lock his king, his only master, in the body of a child?" It was Isaac who freed him. So all the Shadow Lich's twisted affections revealed themselves. He told them not to even look at the child with his disgusting eyes, otherwise he would rip them out. However, the people could not understand him because he spoke a different language. Whisper cheerfully noted that it was a real mess, and MC thought that it seemed like this idiot figured out that he was the Demon King. His efforts to follow him were commendable, but things weren't that simple. Rely ordered all the knights to prepare for battle, and Isaac wondered what he was trying to achieve by putting on such a show. He waved his arms and yelled, telling the knights not to touch his savior, his super-rich mana core. The knight turned to him, asking him to wait. he would quickly settle everything. And suddenly the lich laughed and joyfully said that his master recognized him, his guiding light. This scared the knight and told Riley that the demon was showing hostility, after which the shadow lich rushed towards Isaac, and Riley rushed after it. The lich began cursing at those vile holy knights. How dare they seal him in this vile body? MC was delighted. He had caught his attention, as he couldn't stand watching his mana core being expelled. He told him to start by breaking the barrier, and he struck with all his might, exclaiming that he would carry out his orders. Seeing the barrier collapse, the knights were terrified for the child, but he smirked and told the lich that he had done an excellent job, then grabbed his hand and added that he could now rest. Realizing that he was sealing him, the lich burst into tears and asked why he was doing this to him. After that, his body returned to the totem, and the knights stared at him in shock, asking, did he deal with that demon himself? As soon as they entered the duchy, the holy knights began tossing him joyfully, saying that he had sealed the demon in the totem on the first try. It was simply a miracle. This is a holy spell that can only be used by someone of at least saint or cardinal rank. Isaac told them in his mind that it was actually mana, and Riley doubtfully said that it was definitely a holy spell. But even though he used a holy spell of such a high level, he found it strange that he didn't feel any holy power from it. The knight didn't suspect anything strange in this and said that it was similar to how a person's true worth is revealed during emergencies, and that lich rushed towards the young master. He was sure that he instinctively sensed danger and hastened to eliminate the source. Their young master is simply magnificent. He is convinced of this and is absolutely certain that he is a saint. Riley thought he had said everything correctly. A demon tried to kill him. Even if he is not a saint, there is obviously something special about this child. However, he does not understand why it has to be a boy. Was he born like this because of the Demon King's curse? Suddenly, his subordinate said that he had decided everything. As the captain of the Knight's Order, he will protect Isaac's future, which will become the future of Yeshua. Riley stared at him in surprise, rethinking everything and smiling, saying that he was a fool and only feared the Demon King's curse. Now he was sure that this child would elevate the name of Yeshua. He took him in his arms and said that he, his uncle, would teach him many things. He was talented, so he would raise him to be an incredible holy knight. MC smiled and thought that he didn't care, as long as they gave him his body back. And then Riley said something that made him nervous. Even if he didn't live long, he would save him, no matter the cost. His name would spread across the continent. Isaac started making different sounds, because he had just said something very strange. Riley said that he knew he would like it. As soon as they returned home, his uncle would start teaching him how to curse that shameless skeleton king. MC became nervous and thought they were crazy. Soon they arrived at the residence. Isaac looked around. There was only wealth everywhere. His mouth dropped open in surprise, and he thought that they were so furiously tearing demons apart, while they themselves were living in luxury. How much money had they invested here? He worked himself to the point of baldness, trying to do everything possible to feed his children. Whisper said that this place was on a completely different level than their shabby palace. If they sold at least a couple of these sculptures, they could buy 10 Demon King castles. MC irritably told him to shut up. He already knew that. Riley picked him up and said that this was the Yeshua residence. It was here that the exorcism and extermination of monsters on the continent began. He brought him to the window and told him to look at them. When he grows up, he will become just like those children. Right now, on the green lawn, children were beating up a Demon King effigy, sparing no effort, while making various comments about how they would rip off its limbs and such. Riley smiled, watching them, and Isaac was shocked, thinking, what are they even teaching children? What kind of cult is this? But it doesn't really matter. He will infiltrate the Holy Empire, burn the Emperor alive, and turn this place into Isaac's empire. Whisper asked, does he hold a grudge against the children playing? How petty. He ordered him to shut up and search the surroundings. He quickly did his order, and MC saw many glowing dots in different parts of the estate and asked, are those all mana cores? There are dozens of them. Whisper said that this is the first time he has seen so many cores in one place. How many demons did they kill? The carriage stopped. Riley got out and told the butler to tidy up his room since Isaac would be staying with him. The butler became agitated and said that they had received orders to bring young Master Isaac to the annex. He frowned and asked for the reason, to which the butler replied that the 5th young master had told him never to bring young Master Isaac to the main building. He nervously gritted his teeth and asked, does he want to send Isaac to that damned place to meet his end? MC thought that things weren't as good as they seemed in this family. Yeshua was falling apart. Riley said that his brother was messing around, and he nodded, agreeing with him. He could live in the mansion, so why was he sent to the annex? But when Whisper said that the mana cores were there, he immediately changed his mind. Riley ordered the butler to step aside and headed toward the estate, saying he couldn't allow his nephew to remain in that place with the ghosts. MC waved his hands, saying he needed to go to the outhouse, but no one understood him. Riley told him they would go to his room, and he would read him holy scriptures about how great saints fought the Demon King as a bedtime story every night. When they finished, he would tell him about exorcism methods developed specifically for the Skeleton King. He was terrified, because for him, this was tantamount to death. But suddenly the fifth son of the house of Ashua, Gol, appeared on their way. He asked why they were making such a fuss over a child. He was sure he had said to send the child to the outhouse. Was he planning to turn against his brother, showing up for the first time in a long time? MC looked at him in surprise and remarked that he looked like a hooligan. Gol pointed at the child and ordered him to put it down. It would go to the annex. Relai asked if he was joking. As this child was Ashua's descendant, there was no point in sending him to the annex, the place where they had exiled people in the past. Isaac glanced at the guy and called him rude. He obviously belonged to a faction that wasn't happy with his presence. Relai ordered him to step aside. He would read the child the story of the Demon King's exorcism in his room. MC became nervous. He didn't need anything else right now except that annex. But Gol wasn't going to let them go that easily. He poked Isaac in the cheek and asked where he got this child from. Was he really their descendant? Because he said it mockingly. MC became angry. He liked his desire to send him to the annex, but he didn't understand what was wrong with this idiot. Is he a member of the church or just a punk? But none of that matters. Let them just send him to the annex where he'll suck out all the mana cores. Relai stepped back with displeasure, not allowing him to touch the child, and asked, he thinks he doesn't know why he wants to place him there. He wants people to think he's cursed. He's opposed to his candidacy. Isaac grew nervous and thought, this won't do. He was going to become a saint, squeeze everything out of the duchy, then become a pope and take revenge on the gods. Gol chuckled and asked, does that mean he wants people to think this? He heard a demon was following this child, so he might already be cursed. The knight captain exclaimed, that's not true. Young Master Isaac had played a role in exorcising that demon. The fact that the creature had come specifically for him spoke volumes about his importance. Another knight confirmed his words and said, this whole thing is ridiculous. How much effort had they all put into covering up a pile of trash? If they want to call him the next saint, then let them show him his power. MC was furious at his words, and Whisper suggested he show him what he has, like summoning a meteorite. Gol quickly looked around, searching for something, and stopped, saying that if they want to call him a saint, then he must prove his power. Over there is their family symbol or something. Why doesn't he try to revive what their lord likes so much? The saint tree died because of the dark mana of the demons, so if he really has what it takes to become a saint, he should be able to revive it easily. If, of course, he really is a saint candidate, as he claims. Relai asked, did he even hear himself? Isaac was also perplexed. Melissa fights well, but her descendants are real idiots. He remembered that the first son disappeared. The second was adopted, and an idea occurred to him. Whisper asked what was going on, and he responded by asking, what do you think? He grabbed him and threw him sharply toward the tree, telling him to gather everything there. Relai then said that the tree had been dead for 70 years, and he wanted a child, who couldn't even speak, to restore it. Suddenly, there was a roar, and they both looked at the tree, and right before their eyes, it came to life and grew leaves. Gol was shocked, because even with the help of healing and purification magic, it continued to die. They didn't understand how this could have happened, and MC smiled smugly, thinking it was nothing. There was some dark mana near the roots. He simply absorbed it. Whisper burped, because he had absorbed all the mana and gorged himself, and the knight captain, shocked, turned to Riley and asked what he had done. He told him that he hadn't done anything, and the knight looked at the child, asking, so it was his doing? Isaac said with displeasure that there was so little mana, what a waste it was. Whisper asked, does he want to throw up? Realizing that Isaac had revived the tree, all the knights were overjoyed, and Gol grinned nervously and said that they were crazy idiots. No one in this house could do anything with the tree. So how could a small child? Someone had to help him, but no one was listening to him now. Everyone was busy praising the young saint. First he performed the exorcism, and now the purification. Gol clenched his fists in rage, and told Relai that he did it. He didn't understand what he was talking about, and then he pounced on him, grabbed him by the clothes, and shouted in his face that the saint had helped him. And then he pretended that this little idiot had done it. He responded by exclaiming that he was talking nonsense. How could he meet a missing saint? MC glanced at them and thought that Melissa should be busy with her children, not defeating demons. Her house was a complete mess. Although this so-called fifth son didn't look like her at all, he would rather believe it if someone said that Riley was Melissa in disguise. Whisper assumed it was her stepbrother, and he said that he thought he looked like his father. Gwel told Relai not to pretend ignorance. He thinks he doesn't know that he brought this little scum here to make him the next candidate for sainthood. He's playing his games, knowing that there was already a candidate in their house. Isaac thought, so there were other candidates in the house? And this idiot wanted another kid to win. Whisper pointed out that he had to compete with this other person, but it didn't bother him at all, and he asked in return, didn't he think he would be as angry if this one supported him? It would be fun for him to beat him. He pointed out that it made sense. Relai began to lose patience, and suggested that in that case, they just leave him. He was their nephew, and the son of their first brother, so Isaac had the right to be in the house. Gol mockingly said that was nonsense. Their brother ran away when their home was in danger, and now he left his child with them, and he still called him their brother. Now MC understood. That's why he was treated like an illegitimate child. What a wonderful life he had. Whisper said that he shouldn't talk so carelessly about his own life. Goal said that this idiot was still the son of a saint. He may be a half-breed they took from outside, but she is still a saint. Besides, they can't be sure that he is their brother's son. He thinks he looks good because he looks so much like her. If it helps the family, they can sell him to continue the family line. Relai finally lost his patience and hit him in the face, which immediately made him burst into tears and asked in shock, "Did he just hit him?" he exclaimed in response. Did he think he could spout all sorts of heresy with impunity? The knight captain was shocked, and Isaac smiled with pride for his uncle and thought that brothers grow up fighting. Thanks to them, he got a lot of useful information. After that, a real fight broke out. The knights rushed to their master to stop him, and MC thought that in fact, it was even better that the house was in such a mess. It would be easier to capture. He laughed maliciously, saying that this house was already falling apart, and Whisper advised him to think about it carefully. Won't he go down with the house if it fell apart? Hadn't his brain become smaller because he was in a child's body? He irritably ordered him to shut up. After that, he was finally allowed into the estate and all the family members gathered to look at him. They sat the child on the table and he puffed out his cheeks in offense, thinking that this was irritating him so much. One of the family members clicked his tongue in disappointment and asked, "Another boy, and what will they do with him?" Isaac thought that everyone in this house was crazy. Someone said that since they accepted that peasant girl as a saint, she should at least not give birth to another useless boy. She has no right to be a saint. MC felt uneasy and thought that they were crossing all boundaries. Henna, the patriarch's second wife and acting matriarch, ordered everyone to be silent. She turned to Relai and said that they had decided to raise this child in a juvenile home, away from prying eyes. Why did he allow this child to come to these lands? Isaac noticed that she was openly hostile. She must be behind those trying to send him to the annex. Goal told Relai that their acting matriarch was asking him a question, so why was he silent? Now MC realized she was this idiot's mother. Relai asked if his father was gone. Henna told him that he had left town all because of the situation with the saint candidate. He closed his eyes and said in disappointment that it was such a shame. He needed to hear the news that his grandson, Isaac, had revived the holy tree. Everyone immediately jumped from their seats in surprise, and Goel exclaimed that it was a coincidence. How could a small child do such a thing? In his opinion, the Yeshua family's prayers must have been answered. The old woman agreed with him. Even their patriarch couldn't find a solution. How could such a child do this? Henna agreed. To begin with, there was no proof. The man said the current matriarch was right. It was a great blessing that the sacred tree had returned to life. MC threw up his hands and thought that if they wanted proof, then let them have it. Seeing what he was doing, everyone was very surprised. The child showed them a shining crystal, and they all immediately understood the energy it emanated. It was the energy of the sacred tree. Relai said that apparently Isaac had gotten rid of the manna that was destroying the sacred tree. The man, confused, confirmed that there was manna on the tree. But for a baby to handle this? The woman asked. Isn't that the only possible explanation? He created a physical form from manna. The man said that this method of purification might work, but it was definitely not simple. If something went wrong, the tree could die. It was not for nothing that the patriarch chose a stable method of purification. Goal's mouth fell open in shock and he wondered, what are they talking about? There was no way a baby could have managed such a thing. Relai stated that Isaac could have instinctively expelled the manna, and he smiled proudly. A child, still breastfed, had accomplished something that no one from the Holy See had managed in the last 70 years. Goal considered all his words nonsense and slammed his fist on the table, asking the elders, do they seriously believe this? Purifying a tree by the hands of a baby? He can't even speak. They will become a laughingstock when the whole world finds out about this. Let them look at him. It's hard to believe that he even belongs to the Yeshua clan. Who knows? Maybe he's actually from some unknown family? Relai addressed the elders and asked them to listen to him. This child would definitely become a saint, and moreover, there was a high probability that he would become the next pope. He nodded in agreement, and then Relai solemnly raised him and declared that he would also kill the Demon King. MC didn't like this, and he had started off with such a good speech. At the mention of the Demon King, the elders immediately began cursing, calling him a vile creature, and Henna smirked and thought Relai was digging his own grave. She said that if he was so confident they should test him. She would request the use of the Divine Relic Vault. Sometime later, in a dark forest in the northwest of the Holy Empire, the patriarch of Yeshua, Eli, got rid of the last monster in the area, looked around the pile of bodies, and noted the chaos. His faithful knight approached him and knelt before him in greeting, informing him that his confidant had requested use of the Vault of Divine Relics. Eli replied that he had already told him that the Holy See had no right to use it, and the knight replied that it was not them. His grandson had revived the sacred tree, and the confidant wished to test him for the qualities of a saint. Eli turned to him in surprise and asked what he meant. Why was there a saint in his house? He did not allow it. Only a saintess could survive being taken to that place. Let him tell them to stop squabbling, and without exception, Melissa approached them and said they could do it. Was it Isaac? He had revived the sacred tree. Isn't that impressive? And since they were going to open the vault, why not test all the candidates for sainthood? The knight was surprised and said that a child from another family could take something from the vault. to which she replied that she hoped so. Even the best saints of the generations could not take anything from there. Perhaps if someone manages to obtain the item, they will be able to track down the Demon King and finally kill him. Therefore, it is better to offer a prize for this. Let him tell them that the child who brings the best treasure from the vault will receive a reward that even the Pope cannot provide. He will receive the heirloom of the Yeshua family, and she will personally teach him her secret technique. Let him tell them that they will give everything to the winner. The vault contains a secret technique from thousands of years ago, as well as divine relics. It has always been guarded by one of the saints. It is believed that the Yeshua are the owners of it. Only children under 10 years old can enter the vault. It was used as a kind of ritual for saint candidates when they turned 1 year old. They would enter the vault and choose something. People predicted the saint's powers based on the item the child brought back. However, the vault is so dangerous that even candidates risk their lives by entering. After several deaths, the vault was sealed. Whisper told his master that he was very curious if his little master would manage to escape alive with the treasure. He irritably asked why he was bothering him. Whisper noted that he was also waiting for this, and he confirmed this with anticipation. They say the body of the Skeleton King is located there. Noticing how he waved his arms, the captain of the knights picked him up and asked if he was so happy. The matriarch opened the vault for all the candidates. He began tossing him, and excitedly said that children of all families would be here. The 5 major houses are participating, although the family of the current pope will also come. He is confident that the young master will still win. Whisper noted that they are exaggerating, and MC thought that this is excellent. The more people, the less attention. It will be much easier for him to get his body back. Relai caught him and told him that he should be careful. Demons captured on the battlefield guard the treasure inside. Isaac smiled and thought that he was sure that all of them were rank 6 and below, since they were captured. He would just use force and take the treasure. But if everything were that simple, Relai said that there were rank 8 demons there. He returned him to the crib and he thought, what the hell are rank 8 demons doing there? The knight noted that a rank 9 dragon would be worse than all of them. To which Riley replied that this was true if you look only at ranks. Whisper sighed heavily and noted that their whole family had gone crazy. A dragon in a place where a lot of children gather. He, at least, knows a lot about dragons. He turned his gaze to him and seeing how he nervously bit his nails, asked, what now? MC cursed and said that dragons were dangerous in a different way. He deceived them many times. Whisper was surprised by this news. It turned out Isaac had been selling something to young dragons, which had enraged the elders, and he'd killed around 70 of them. He thought that was bad. They had good memories. Perhaps they'd recognize his soul. Whisper said that he'd probably have to change masters, and he exclaimed in rage that he could actually hear him. Well, he has no other choice. The Divine Relics Vault contains rank 8 demons and rank 9 dragons, and he can barely handle rank 6 demons in his current state. To start fighting them off, he needs to take all the mana reserves from the Yeshua family, and that means getting to the annex. Whisper asked, Sir, is he alright? He looks like he's about to be exorcised. MC read the holy spellbook fearfully. 10 ways to destroy the Demon King, and answered, yes. He thought, if only he knew how to control holy power, he could learn it easily. Let them tell him everything briefly. He hasn't even started learning. He'll just have to control his mind and force him to teach him, Whisper said. Sir, he's using dark magic in the clergy center. Does he want to raise this house to the ground, revealing his demonic essence? MC asked, what happened to him in the last 150 years? Whisper chuckled, and Isaac replied, he doesn't understand anything because he doesn't know the theory. Relai approached him and said, it looks like the day was eventful. MC thought, that's right, children his age should sleep 16 hours a day. At that moment, the captain was sitting to the side. Relai waved his hand and cast recovery. MC thought happily, this is a holy spell. Excellent. Next, let him use an offensive spell. Uncle. Whisper asked him not to move. He should quickly go to the annex, and for them to leave. MC answered, exactly, the annex. He needs to get rid of them quickly. The guys looked in his direction, and Whisper asked discontentedly, who would fall for this terrible acting? The captain said with affection, Sir Isaac falls asleep so quickly. MC lay down and pretended to fall asleep, and Relai said what an amazing child, he is quick at everything. Whisper said discontentedly, are they all crazy? Are they seriously falling for this? The guys said it's late, maybe they won't go? Yes, they all need to practice. MC smirked, and Whisper said, amazing people. One of the guys said, but the totem is dangerous. Let him take this with him. MC's eyes widened and he thought, what? Relai said it was very valuable. It was Isaac's first totem, so he should take good care of it. The captain replied, yes, sir. Isaac thought, he should resurrect it, let them keep it. He burst into tears and thought, his totem. He needed to drain the mana from it. He stood up and thought, well, he could collect it from the outbuilding now. He climbed over the railing and thought, let's go. Whisper asked, was he really gonna crawl to the outbuilding? Would he even get there today? Isaac replied, yes, of course, of course. He can't carry it all the way. His uncle locked the door. The locking mechanism is on the outside. There's even a holy spell on it. MC fell out of bed and thought, what an uncle. He ordered Whisper to break it. He asked, they'll think he's being attacked and come running here. MC said, damn it. He slammed his fist on the floor and thought, this is driving him crazy. He can't hold out on Whisper alone. If he uses magic, everything will become even more difficult. How can he escape? He tried to open the door, when suddenly Goel Eshua's son and the Eshua house's holy candidate, Shuri Eshua, who is 5 years old, walked in. He frowned and asked, "What? The child can't even walk yet." MC looked at him and thought, "Is this his rival?" Whisper asked, "Did he dare to harm his master?" Isaac thought, "The totem that even the genius he couldn't make, this little one couldn't either." MC looked at Shuri, and he released mana and said, "He is the one who will become a saint. How dare he do what is his plan to escape Eshua's curse." A baby rattle fell on his head and MC mockingly pointed his finger at him and said, "He found someone to carry him." Shuri burst into tears and screamed, Does he even know who he is?" Isaac thought, "He looks like that bully uncle, so he must be his son. And he saw him gathering holy mana to attack him. Idiot. So he deserved a couple of hits." Isaac hit him a few times. He embers. And Whisper said, "Well done, master." MC thought, "Insolent idiot. He should just accept that he will be his porter." MC tried to hit him again, and Shuri put up a magic shield and screamed, "He thinks he's so special?" Isaac looked at him thoughtfully, and Shuri cried out, "Is he surprised? At his age, no one can use 3rd tier holy magic yet. It's too early to be surprised." 3rd tier holy attack magic, radiant holiness. He directed it first upward, and then towards MC and ordered him to receive. MC looked at it and thought, "That's impressive. 2 projectiles of radiant holiness." He smiled and said, "Thank you for the food." Shuri looked at him puzzled and screamed, "Such a big defense spell?" Isaac cupped his hands over his ears and thought, wondering how he would use it, since his uncle hadn't taught him. He happily thanked him for the lesson. Shuri started running out of the room and screamed, "No!" MC pointed his finger at him, and Shuri, frightened, ordered him to stop. Mana crashed into him, and Whisper asked, "Master, that was nice, but is it really okay to kill a direct family member?" MC asked again, "What does kill mean?" He didn't even hit him. Shuri looked around in fear, then stood up and screamed, "Kid, if he can't even hit him, then he shouldn't have scared him at all. No matter what holy art attacks he used, he wouldn't be able to defeat him, a candidate for sainthood." Whisper suddenly appeared behind him and said, "He dared attack his king. He wanted to die?" Shuri fell to his knees in front of him and started shaking. He started crying, and MC climbed onto Whisper's shoulder and asked, "Why is he lying here? Let him carry him." Idiot. The boy thought, "His name is Shuri Eshua, and he will become a saint. He will escape from this cursed house of Eshua and become a pope. But why is this kid bossing him around?" MC was sitting on his neck and screaming. Shuri asked, "Why is he doing this? Does he know who he is?" Whisper told him to move before he tore him into pieces, an insignificant human bug. Shuri thought, "They know what? They just need to focus on staying alive." He asked someone to save him. After a while, MC screamed, "Yes, left." He said left. He wants to die? Let him get it together. Shuri asked displeasedly, where was he going in the middle of the night? He looked up carefully and said, "This is it? A haunted house." MC thought, "This is the second extension of the Eshua mansion." Shuri wondered why this crazy kid had brought him here. Several people had died here, so the patriarch had forbidden entry. Whisper laughed and said, "It looks like several dozen had died here. To accumulate that much mana, you would have to train for decades to the point of death." MC pressed Shuri and mentally ordered him to go. Shuri asked fearfully, did he want to go inside? No, they couldn't. The adults had forbidden it. Whisper ordered him to shut up and go. After a while, they entered, and Shuri was shaking with fear. Isaac said, everything inside was in much worse condition. He saw the mana and thought, that's it. Whisper said, the entire building is sealed, sir. There's some kind of protective barrier on each door. MC said, what a pain. Shuri suggested he go back. Everything is locked here anyway. Isaac screamed and tugged at Shuri's hair. He cried out in pain and asked, why? He ordered him to let go of his hair. He walked up to the portraits and asked, the past patriarchs? He wanted to take the place of the patriarch now, but it was pointless. He would be the next patriarch. MC screamed loudly and threw a rattle towards the portraits, and Shuri screamed in fear, their ancestors. Is he crazy? What is he doing? Isaac frowned and asked why anyone would put barriers on the portraits. Whisper said, the barrier is broken, sir. MC thought, great. He jumped off Shuri's shoulders and said, let's go. Shuri asked, where is he going? Isaac rolled on the floor and Shuri screamed loudly, idiot? Where is he going after all he's done? MC rolled to the wall and screamed in joy, amazing. Whisper let him close the door. Shuri ran after him and screamed, wait a second. Wait, what is he doing? MC thought, a kid like him doesn't need to know. Shuri screamed, you're a minor. Isaac sat down on the floor and released mana. He thought he would start. Shuri ordered him to get out of there. Hurry, he will tell the adults everything. He banged his fists on the door and shouted, he will tell them everything, and they will kick him out. Suddenly, the sound of footsteps was heard behind him. Reali said, Shuri, what is he doing here? Shuri turned around and said, Uncle, he came just in time. Isaac, he is a monster. Gertrude interrupted him and screamed loudly, what is he doing, Shuri? He knows that entering the annex is forbidden. What was he thinking? Bringing Isaac here? Shuri asked fearfully. What? Gertrude screamed. How many people did he think saw him carry Isaac here on his back? On top of that, traces of holy attack magic were found in his room. Is he responsible for all of this? Shuri answered, no. He brought him here, and some of the holy attack magic was his, but Reali sat down next to him and said, Shuri, this time he's gone too far. Whatever it is, he's picking on a baby who's not even weaned yet. He asked where he locked Isaac. Shuri burst into tears and screamed, he didn't lock him anywhere. Isaac came in himself. Reili went to the door and asked, Isaac, is he there? Someone asked, did he lock the door? Oh my god. Reili opened the door and saw Isaac crying behind it. Gertrude asked, is he okay? Oh my god, he looks scared. Riley picked up MC and said, "Thank God, he's okay." He looked scared, but it didn't look like anything was wrong. He turned around and said, "He should be ashamed, Shuri." He burst into tears and said, "No, it's not like that really." MC thanked him. He turned around and said, "Thanks to him, he ate his fill." Shuri screamed loudly, "He's an idiot." Gertrude asked, "Shuri, why does it look like his blood pressure has suddenly risen? Is it because it's so cold here?" MC put his hand to his chest and thought it was more than he expected. He received as much mana as it would take him 100 years of training, and all in one go. With that amount, he can finally put that plan into action. Riley looked at him and thought it looks like Isaac was really scared. After a while, Riley said, "Isaac, he would like to introduce him to someone. This is Asili. She will be his assistant." Asili put her hand to her chest and said, "Paladin of the House of Eshua, Asili Lark." She knelt before MC and said she will serve him until death, young Master Isaac. MC wondered if they assigned someone to keep an eye on him because of what happened last time. He frowned in displeasure and said, She's fired. Get out of his sight." Everyone looked at him puzzled, and Asili asked, "Young Master Riley, can she squeeze his cheeks?" Isaac wondered why there are only crazy people in this house. Riley reached into his inside pocket and vest and said, "Isaac, here's a gift from his uncle." MC looked at the ring and wondered if he found this in the trash can. Whisper wondered if he had heard wrong, but it seemed the Ashua family was really going through a financial crisis. How could this even be called a worthy gift for the master's first birthday? Asili asked, "Isn't this a saint's relic?" MC wondered. "A relic?" Riley ruffled Isaac's hair and said, "His uncle got this from the council especially for him." MC thought, "It's real. The ring the saints used in the battle against him. An elder ring containing a small miracle of God. The holy power stored in this is incredible, although it looks like he'll only be able to use it once or twice before it breaks. But he has a way to fix it." And yet, Isaac looked to the side and saw a displeased Goal who was looking at him intently. He thought, "The look on this guy's face guarantees it's real." He looks at his little nephew as if he's going to kill him. Goal laughed and said, "His cute little nephew Isaac. How beautiful he is. He hopes he's comfortable here." MC screamed, "What the hell?" Whisper said, "He's probably completely crazy." Goal thought, "What a nightmare. Things are getting complicated." He broke the blessing device in the relic storage so he couldn't get it, but he didn't expect that they would give the relic to the saint so easily. Gertrude said a while ago that since Isaac can't receive the blessing, it would be fair if they gave it to him. Goal asked, "The relic of the saint?" He ordered to give it to his child. Gertrude asked, "Shuri?" She waved her hand and said, "He has already received the blessing from the Holy See. No need to be so greedy. Let him go." Currently, he thought he was going to take it and give it to the Holy See. He won't even understand the true value of the relic. Goal exhaled and said, if he was going to give him a gift, he should have chosen a good one, not this trash. Riley asked again, "Useless? Brother, how can he talk like that about the things of the saint?" Goal answered, "Isaac and his precious nephew. How could he give him such a useless thing?" He took out the box and said, "This ring is imbued with blessings directly from the Holy See. It should be of greater use in the relic repository. Riley will never be able to get it for him." He handed him the box with the ring and said, "Here, let him take this." MC reached out for it, and Goal said to give him this old and dirty ring. Isaac hit him and told him to get lost. He closed the box and said, "Let him take this horror. It stinks of daddy." He threw it out and said he can give it to the dogs. The ring fell into the water, and Goal screamed, "What are they doing? We need to find the ring immediately." Riley looked at MC and thought this looks 1,000 times more expensive than what he gave him, but he still chose it. He held out his hand and said, "Isaac, his wonderful nephew." He tossed him up and said he will give him the best. Asili said, "Hooray for young Master Isaac." At that moment, Goal's servants were trying to find the ring in the water. Goal ordered them to find it at any cost, as if their lives depended on it. Isaac thought, he cast weight magic on it, they will never find it. Whisper said, as befits his master. His determination not to touch such a vile object with even a finger is admirable. MC ordered him to pick it up at dawn. Whisper asked again, "Him?" Isaac asked him a question, "Who else? Him or what?" Whisper answered, he understood. Goal grabbed his head and thought, this thing will be worth a fortune. He grabbed his head and screamed loudly. After a while, he slammed his fist on the table and screamed, "Terrible kid. He has no idea how much this thing is worth." He said, "It doesn't matter. He bet he won't be able to use the ring properly anyway. It's a suitable thing for someone who can't even use holy spells. To use this, you need to absorb the holy power of at least 20 people, and that's impossible." He wonders if at least 10 will come to his first birthday party. The next day, fathers and their children gathered in the courtyard. Asili stood by the window and said, "This is amazing. There are more than 148 candidates for sainthood on the list, and including nobles and servants, about 4,000 people have gathered today. It seems to her that all the ducal families and more than 10 marquise families have arrived. His Imperial Majesty is also here. Even neighboring countries have sent their holy candidates. Isn't that amazing?" MC wondered why there were so many candidates for sainthood. Had the gods gotten lazy and just scattered them everywhere? Whisper said, Well, they're just the type to do that, Riley said thoughtfully. He didn't expect that. He thought no one would come, that it was a trap. Count Simon Age, the head of one of the 3 trade unions of the empire, and a friend of Riley, entered the room and shouted. Of course they wouldn't think that, his friend. They haven't seen each other for a long time, Riley asked in surprise. Simon? Is he here too? Simon smiled and answered. The rumor had spread throughout the empire. How could he not come? Everyone realized that this wasn't a trap and decided to attend. After all the weaklings from the house of Eshua are here. Not to mention that the family had put the head of Eshua on the line. How could he miss such a moment? Even Dad's family would come. MC thought. What? Riley said Dad's family would never attend. Simon said he also thought that arrogant royals would never show up on Eshua lands. They hate everyone except the Barrett family. Riley ordered Simon to keep quiet. Simon asked again why. His son Armin is also a candidate for sainthood. After all, this event is being organized by the Eshua family. The Pope's family has no reason to interfere. Riley ordered him to be careful what he said. Simon replied, he just doesn't want to see snobs who always wrinkle their noses like they've stepped in dirt. Suddenly, a voice came from behind him. Harry entered the room and said, there's an old saying that no one is as dangerous as a vulgar friend. And alas, the wisdom of the ancestors is never wrong. Everyone stared at him in surprise. Riley said, Bishop Barrett. He smirked and said, to think that a weakling from the Eshua family is organizing such an event. He hopes his baby will bring something from the relic vault to save the family's face. He was curious to see the child of Eshua, who dared to declare himself a candidate for sainthood. But he can't even see him. Asili looked at him with displeasure, and Harry said, well, this is a wonderful opportunity for him. He sincerely prays that the candidate for sainthood will bring glory to his family. Riley wondered if this was a ploy orchestrated by the Holy See. The fact that the strength of the candidates for sainthood had grown from 25 to 148 in the last week alone raised questions. The only explanation is that the See turns a blind eye to the fact that saint candidates appear out of nowhere. Everyone strives to make their own child a saint candidate. Once such children are placed in the vault, they will inevitably discard the weakest, trying to push the competition aside. They might even harm him during the chaos. He clenched his fist and turned around, thinking that if that happened, Isaac would be in danger. A boy from the Eshua family, except for his outstanding appearance and family reputation, he was completely useless. However, for those who covet the superior Eshua genes, or those trying to earn the inclination of the Pope's family, who hate the line of saints, this child was the perfect prey. Some time ago, a man in a robe handed over a vial and told him to give it to the Eshua boy as a little prank, so that he wouldn't die but would be unable to do anything. You need to mix it with water and use holy poison. You need to teach the boy a lesson about how cruel the world can be. You need to expose him to public ridicule and proclaim that a child of Eshua can never become a saint. MC wiped it off and cried out, good job. The boy turned to him and said, guys, I'm scared. How many bottles did he drink? After a while, Isaac threw a bottle at the boy's head and screamed, let them bring more. This poison can't kill him. He said, more. The boy burst into tears and said, he wants to go home. The other guy said, that's scary. The guy put his hand to his face and whispered, what's wrong with this kid? He thought he put laxative in it. The other guy replied, maybe he took the wrong bottle? He's weird. He thinks it's him. They need to just leave. Shuri grabbed his head and thought, why does he keep draining bottles of poison? Stop slandering Eshua's name. He should be able to tell there's something wrong with this, being a candidate for sainthood. He snatched the bottle from MC and screamed, stop drinking. Is he dehydrated? He handed him another bottle and said, if that's what he wants, let him drink this. Isaac threw it at him and screamed, it's not poisoned. He ordered them to give him super poison. A guy came up to him and shouted, why is he so energetic? But this is holy poison. Another guy came up to him and asked, is he crazy? Will he die if he drinks this? MC shouted, holy poison. He rushed towards the guy and ordered him to give it to him. He started fighting, and the kids were discussing on the side. It seems he has incredible resistance to poisons. They heard a person can reach the level of natural poison breakdown by training their holy power. What? He thinks he has already reached that level. But then why is he drinking from poisoned bottles? Maybe he wants to make sure others can't drink from them because it's dangerous? Shuri was sitting near the wall and thinking, this is nonsense. A guy came up to him and asked, really? They mean to say that this is self-sacrifice? Shuri jumped and widened his eyes at him in surprise. He thought, Kina Barrett? What is Barrett doing here? He never heard of Dad's family being involved. He is the direct heir to the Pope's family, Kina Barrett. The girl looked at him in surprise and asked, wait, isn't that Kina Barrett? The boy asked, what is the Pope's family doing in the repository of the saint's relic? It seems the winner is already decided. MC sat on the boy's back and looked at him questioningly. He thought, so this boy is practically guaranteed to become a saint, right? But is it even possible to have such a pure hair color, being from the Holy See family? Did they dye it or something? Everyone else in this family has hair the color of mud. Kina said, there is nothing strange about a person from the Pope's family ending up in the repository of the saint's relics. The Pope's family is the head of all the clergy. Therefore, the repository of the saint's relics also belongs to their family. Shuri looked at him puzzled, and Kina said, he is only here to take what is rightfully his. So why do they find this so strange? MC smirked and thought, judging by the arrogant way he speaks, he must be from the Pope's family. But this little brat, he's a real monster, no? His holy power surpasses that of a bishop, as expected of a saint candidate. Kina asked, they use such vulgar methods to humiliate the master, right? And they call themselves holy candidates? How disgusting. What's the use of bullying a child? There's no way a kid can be resistant to poison. It must be the power of a saint trying to protect him. He sat down next to Isaac, who thought, stupidity runs in the family. Kina released Manhwa and said, what a pity. It's okay, he'll cleanse him of the poison. Someone asked, can he use a holy detoxification spell yet? I need to look at the size of his holy power. It's at least tier 5. MC looked at him and thought, he's really trying to pull off some kind of nonsense. He's trying to use it to show off his skills, right? He's great. He'll give him what he deserves. MC screamed loudly and slapped him in the face. Kina looked away questioningly, and the boy pointed his finger at him and screamed, holy power, did it disappear? Kina's eyes widened in surprise and thought, his holy power, did it disappear? Impossible. A kid like him? He thought fearfully. Is he stronger than him? An Eshua insect. Isaac asked displeasedly. What was he looking at? A miner. He'll smash his skull with that bottle. Shuri grabbed him and screamed loudly. No, you don't have to do that. Someone asked. Is he looking after him because they're family? He punched the one who tried to save him in the face. That's not nice. Did they really think they had a chance against Daddy's family? Does he think he can protect him? Shuri thought, idiots. If it weren't for him, they would have gotten hit in the head with a bottle a long time ago. Kina exhaled and said, it's okay, he could surprise him. After all, he's still a kid. He waved his hand and said, he wishes them good luck, the children of Eshua. They should try to return with at least some dirt to save face for their family. MC looked after him in irritation, and Kina turned around and said, but of course, the best treasure here will be his. After all, Eshua doesn't dare even get close to the Demon King's body. Isaac's eyes widened in surprise, and Shuri said how disgusting he was. MC grabbed him by the shirt and screamed, what did that idiot just say? Shuri screamed in fear, and MC asked what he said about the Demon King's body. Shuri asked, what's wrong with him? Make him stop shaking it. The head of the family promised to pass on the secret technique to whoever brings the Skeleton King's body. MC grabbed his head and asked, Melissa, she dares mock his body? He sighed and thought, his body had accumulated many centuries of mana. If he could get it, reaching rank 10 wouldn't be a problem. But now that all these kids are looking for him too, there's no way to drag him away. Fine. He'll just step over anyone who gets in his way. A man entered the room and told everyone to gather. Departure is soon, so let them listen carefully to what he has to say. The relic storage, the Holy of Holies. This is where the previous ones left. Isaac looked at him with displeasure and thought, he's starting with history. At this rate, they'll grow old here. He crawled to the side and said, he's going. Shuri whispered fearfully, where is he going? MC quickly ran away, and Shuri screamed, Elder, Isaac! MC applied high walking speed and thought, it's time for him to use the holy spell he just learned. The Elder screamed, Isaac, no, this is a restricted area. If he goes there, the traps will be activated. Everyone's eyes widened in fear, and they ran after him. The Elder ordered that this brat be stopped. At that moment, in the banquet hall of the Eshua residence, Asili said, she hoped the young master was all right. Riley frowned, folding his arms across his chest. The guy who was standing near the portals said they had established a connection with the inner space. The familiars are following the candidate who took 3rd place, so they will see everything now.